December arrives like a quiet breath. Lights appear on streets. Windows glow softly. The air feels slower, gentler. Across the world, people pause to gather, to remember, to hope. Yet in the middle of this season, there is a question many ask, not loudly, but thoughtfully. Why do Muslims not celebrate Christmas? This is not a story of disagreement. It is a story of belief, of devotion, of understanding difference without fear. So take a moment, breathe, and listen, not to argue, but to understand.
Every December, the world begins to glow. Streets light up in cities across America and Britain. Homes feel warmer. Families gather. Music about peace, love, and hope fills the air. For many people, this season is called Christmas. And in diverse societies, a sincere question is often asked, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Why don't Muslims celebrate Christmas? To understand the answer, we need to slow down, set aside assumptions, and listen with an open heart. This is not a story of rejection. It is a story of belief, respect, and faith. Christmas, for Christians, is deeply meaningful. It marks the birth of Jesus Christ. It is a religious event tied to worship, prayer, and theology. Churches hold special services. Believers reflect on the life and role of Jesus. For many, it is a sacred moment in their spiritual calendar. Muslims recognize and respect this. What many people don't realize is something surprising. Muslims love and honor Jesus. In Islam, Jesus, known as Isa, is one of the greatest prophets of God. He was born miraculously. He performed miracles. He preached compassion, humility, and devotion to God. Muslims also deeply honor his mother, Maryam, a woman praised in the Quran for her purity and faith. So the question is not about rejecting Jesus. The difference lies in something deeper. Islam teaches absolute monotheism. God is one. God is eternal. God is not human. God does not take human form. God has no children. In Christianity, Jesus is understood as the Son of God, divine in nature. Christmas celebrates this belief. For Muslims, worship is not flexible. It is precise. It is sacred. Participating in a religious celebration that affirms a belief about God that contradicts Islamic faith is something Muslims simply cannot do. Not out of disrespect, not out of dislike, but out of devotion. Just as a Christian would not participate in a religious act that denies Christ, a Muslim remains faithful to their understanding of God. Islam teaches something important here. Respect does not require imitation. Muslims are taught to be good neighbors, to speak kindly, to protect the rights of others, to live peacefully alongside people of all faiths. Muslims do not oppose Christmas. They do not mock it. They do not try to stop others from celebrating. They simply choose not to take part in the religious aspect of it. In Western societies, Christmas is often both religious and cultural, and that can be confusing. Charity, family meals, kindness, generosity, these are universal values. Islam encourages all of these every single day of the year. But when cultural moments are tied closely to religious beliefs, Muslims step back not because they feel superior, but because they feel accountable to God. This is not about isolation. Muslims live, work, study, and serve alongside Christians every day in the USA and the UK. They share schools, hospitals, offices, neighborhoods. They share civic values. They share concern for justice and compassion. They simply worship differently. Historically, Muslims have always had their own religious celebrations, Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha, rooted in their own theology and spiritual practice. Faith in Islam is not seasonal, it is lived daily. In December, Muslims continue to pray. They give charity. They reflect on their relationship with God. They teach their children about prophets, including Jesus. Not celebrating Christmas does not mean missing joy. It means finding meaning through a different spiritual path. In a world that often demands uniformity, faith teaches sincerity. True coexistence does not require pretending we are the same. It means understanding one another honestly. Muslims do not celebrate Christmas because their understanding of God is different, because worship to them is sacred and defined, because faith to them is a trust. This choice is not about rejecting others. It is about remaining true to oneself. And when difference is met with understanding instead of suspicion, diversity becomes strength. Respect grows, peace deepens, and humanity moves a little closer together. That is why Muslims do not celebrate Christmas, not out of rejection, but out of devotion. And in a world that needs more understanding, sometimes listening is the greatest gift of all.
As the lights fade and the season moves on, one truth remains. Faith is not measured by how closely we imitate one another, but by how sincerely we live our own values. Muslims do not celebrate Christmas, not because they reject others, but because their devotion asks them to worship God in a different way. And in that difference, there is room for respect. There is room for peace. There is room for coexistence. Because understanding does not require agreement, only empathy. And sometimes, the most meaningful connection begins when we choose to listen. Thank you for being here.